All right, welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving right into a seriously amazing story today, the Rosie Project. It's this incredibly fun, absolutely brilliant look at a guy who actually thought he could solve life, literally, like it was just a math problem. We're going to see what happens when a highly rigid, unyielding system completely crashes into the wild, unpredictable mess that is human nature.
So it all comes down to this one huge question. Can love actually be calculated? That's the core conflict we're unpacking in our Explainer today. We're looking at this ultimate showdown between strict, cold scientific logic and wildly unpredictable human emotion. Think about it. Can you really just plug romance into a spreadsheet and get a perfect result? I mean, what if the perfect person for you was the exact opposite of everything you actually wanted? That idea right there is the hook. It beautifully sets up the stakes for the whole story, completely challenging the idea that love follows some neat, logical, perfectly curated master plan.
Let's meet our main guy, Don Tillman, and explore the genetics of routine.
Okay, so Don is this brilliant genetics professor, right? But his day-to-day life is completely run by systems. I'm talking meals, exercise, work, even his social interactions. Every single minute is mapped out. He actually uses a standardized meal system. He eats the exact same lobster dinner every single Tuesday night, just so he doesn't have to waste mental energy at the grocery store. It's efficient, sure, but there's a massive glitch in his highly optimized life. His relationships are a total disaster. People just find him way too rigid, a little too brutally honest, and, well, honestly, just really awkward.
Which brings us to the Wife Project, his highly scientific approach to dating. After years of enduring these brutally awkward failed dates, Don decides to tackle the whole romance thing the only way he knows how, with science. He creates this intense 16-page screening questionnaire to weed out the deal breakers. No smokers, nobody who runs late, zero emotional unpredictability, and absolutely no unnecessary drama. It's an absurdly strict list, but it perfectly captures Don's mindset, you know? He genuinely believes compatibility is just a math equation. Filter out the bad variables and boom, you get the perfect wife. But then comes the Rosie anomaly. Enter chaos. This is where we get the ultimate clash of the whole narrative. On one hand, you've got Don, the absolute embodiment of systems, logic, and rigidity. And on the other, there's Rosie. She's all about possibilities, deep emotion, and total spontaneity. Where Don sees strict rules, Rosie just sees open doors. She is the literal opposite of everything Don thinks he's looking for. She is the ultimate unpredictable variable. Rosie smokes, she's constantly late, she's chaotic, she's emotional. She basically fails every single question on Don's meticulously crafted 16-page survey. And that exact mismatch, that total spectacular failure of his scientific method, that is the comedic engine that drives this entire story forward.
This leads them into the Father Project, a brand new investigation.
So Rosie is on this intense mission to figure out who her biological father is. And Don, seeing a complex puzzle that clearly needs solving, decides to use his world-class genetic skills to help her out. The methodology seems super straightforward to him. Step 1, interview the subjects. Highly logical, right? Step 2, collect the DNA samples. Pure, measurable science. Step 3, accidentally fall madly in love. Wait, hang on, that definitely wasn't in the hypothesis. While Don thinks he's just acting as a helpful scientist, there's this entirely unscientific reaction happening in the background. He's falling for her, even if his brain absolutely refuses to process the data yet. Now we look at the science of connection and Don's unexpected evolution. Spending all this time together on the investigation forces Don to evolve in ways he never saw coming. He starts to realize that deep emotional understanding actually outweighs dramatic movie-style passion. Little by little, his focus drifts away from controlling his variables and moves toward a real, organic need for human connection. And this totally flips standard romance tropes on their head. It's not about finding someone who looks flawless on paper. It's about how Don and Rosie perfectly balance each other out. Rosie pulls Don into experiencing life with his heart, and Don grounds Rosie with total honesty and stability. They fall for each other because they actually make each other better, not because they scored well on a test. There's this fantastic realization that Don isn't broken. He simply experiences the world differently. That right there is the absolute core of their dynamic. Rosie is the very first person who looks at Don and truly accepts him, exactly the way he is. And yeah, it's a super specific character arc, but it taps into something we all feel, right? We all just want to be understood. We all want someone who looks past our weird little quirks and flaws and just loves us for us. Which brings us to Don's big realization.
Logic simply is not enough.
Eventually, Don hits a massive wall. He realizes Rosie matters to him in a really deep emotional way. For the first time ever, his precious logic can't save him. This forces him to experience a whole new kind of vulnerability. It's that terrifying moment when the logic fails, the equations completely disappear, and finding real connections suddenly demands an open heart. It's a huge breakthrough for Don when he finally admits that you just can't control love. The final conclusion becomes crystal clear. Love cannot be calculated, and you definitely can't organize it into spreadsheets. Don's biggest win in this story isn't that he magically becomes super social or totally loses his awkwardness. His real transformation is actively choosing a messy, real emotional connection over his neat little compatibility scores. He chooses Rosie simply because they make each other happy, even if it makes absolutely zero logical sense.
Let's wrap up with the universal takeaway here: the absolute beauty of chaos.
This story connects with people all over the world because it highlights such a fundamental truth about life. Sometimes the people who completely disrupt our carefully planned lives end up becoming the people we need the most. It's so profound when you realize that the best, most perfect love stories out there usually kick off with complete and total chaos.
So, as we finish up this explainer, I want you to think about this. Should love follow logic, or should it completely surprise us? Take a second to really mull that over, because sometimes the absolute greatest variables in life are the ones you just can't put into an equation. Thanks so much for diving into this with me today, and hey, don't forget to embrace those unpredictable variables in your own life.